And we're live. Just checking my mic. That sound good? Sound okay, Alex? Okay. So, thanks for dropping by. Just got done with my brawls this week. We finished pretty good. Placed third this time. I went 6-3. But that was just what was happening. I just want to drop quickly, say hi. I can't stay for long. Well, thanks for dropping by, Weird Mix, and thanks for dropping by, Alex. Been playing Splinterlands for years, though. Alex, I started about a year and a half ago. I guess right after Unlimited, Unlimited. I caught the tail end of Unlimited. I was able to buy like one pack before it went out. So let's go ahead and go over to, this is kind of an open floor. I'm going to use the Town Hall notes from this week to kind of make some speaking topics, but we can talk about what's been going on this week with Splinterlands and also Splinterforge. Good deal, Alex. I like the fact I have 3 lands, Alex. I have 3 portions of land, 3 plots rather. I've claimed one, and I'm holding off on the other 2. I would like to get 1 plot in the dragon section of land, and we'll look at that when we look at the Secrets of Pretoria. That's one of the things on the docket today. But I, just due to my name, Bronze Dragon, I want one in at least one in the section of Dragonland. So we'll take a look at that. And that's a whole nother topic as far as, how land is shaping up. Okay, let's dive in. The first thing, and I'll leave these show notes, I'm sure you've seen them, but they're over on the Hive blog on Peak D. But the first change this week was to the energy collection rate system. I got Beta Legendary Max for my working cards. Nice. That's another topic on that's on the Secrets of Pretoria, since you're talking about that now. We can go over and look at the production points. That comes later in the thing, but it's interesting. Hey, Jedi. Welcome. Thanks for dropping by. We're just kind of touching on a few points here. We're diving into the Town Hall, just kind of using it as a list of speaking points we can talk about. It's pretty open. We can talk about any Splinterlands, Splinterforge related topics. Yeah. So on the production points, back on your point on the production points, I think we all knew that the older the card, and if it was gold foil, it would yield more, production points. But they kind of laid it out now. Jedi says paid $450 to get my last daily chest. Yeah, that's a whole nother topic. I'm on the fence. I won't be paying for extra unless, like Jedi says, you're right on that edge and you feel that it's worth, going ahead and paying and getting that extra chest. I can see that. But otherwise, I probably on a daily basis won't be spending extra for it. Back on the production points, though, with this chart that they put out in the white paper today, and yes, I tried to get this in dark mode. I tried for like 10 minutes, and whatever I did, putting browser themes on, whatever I did, I could not get this Get Book document into dark mode. I guess they wanted to stay in white as the white paper. So, yeah, Jedi, I agree. When you're coming down to the wire, and you're trying to press for that extra chest, it just seems like you end up losing a few. And then you're like, oh, great. So, Alex, I do not use the X-Spot. I use Archmage. And currently I have 2 Archmage accounts. Very early on, I bought 2 Archmage tokens, and one of them sat and was not used for quite a long time. Because basically, at the very beginning, I had 2 accounts, my main account and a secondary account playing, and then it became like worthless to have that secondary account playing, so I pulled the cards off and I basically started renting them out. And then after a while, the rental market went in the toilet, so I pulled those back and started a second account again. And I guess it's been going almost 3 seasons now. I started that second account when the current batch of Soulbound rewards cards came out. So land's supposed to be in the graveyard for older cards to give them some value. Still, hence the older cards get some more value. Yeah, I understand that point, and I agree with it. But if you've been keeping up on how many cards people will actually need for this land, it's going to suck all the cards out of the ecosystem, really. If people heavily invest into this, Alex says, I use Xbox manually with my guild brawls and it wins almost every game. I might have to look into it. I got on their Discord. I don't pay a lot of attention to it, but I might have to look into it. I'm generally happy with Archmage. Obviously, the difference there is paying once up front for the Xbox versus continually on paying for Archmage. But definitely worth it. I might, in fact, since you brought it up, I might take my secondary account and switch that over to Xbox. Might make a interesting point of comparison. But back on the production points, I don't see myself maxing out my 3 lands as far as production, because I just can't. Obviously, if you look at the points, obviously you would have to buy older cards and buy older gold foil cards. The other point I want to make here is that every time you stake a card, it's going to cost you DEC. I believe they said 10,000 DEC. So you can't just flip cards around. You can't just go in and stake this card and then tomorrow, oh, I got this better card to stake, flip it around, because it's going to cost you 10,000 DEC. What's that, like $6-7 now? Each time you want to stake a card. So you got to go in good. You got to go in with a good high level card. Yeah, Jedi says it's going to eat up a lot of cards should the majority of lands get worked on. I agree, and there's several other YouTubers that have bigger YouTubers than I that have made videos on this. Obviously, that was their goal, to eat up some of the cards in the ecosystem, give them a use case. But, and that'll drive the value up, and it will pull a lot of cards off of the market, and they're being staked on land, so they're not in the rental system. So hopefully the rentals go up. I don't know. I've almost given up trying to foretell what this market's going to do, because it seems like every time I say one thing, something else happens. Alex says, it's weird, the card setups, but it wins. It's better than me playing, but just shy of champion. Well, I'll have to give it a look, Alex. In fact, I might do a video, and you can, ping me separately if you have any tips on using the Xbox. But I might have to grab one and take a look at it and do a video on. Jedi says, isn't the staked DEC coming back to you if you unstake a monster? That's correct. It's not going away, like it's not being burnt, but you're still having to pay it. So I'll have to look into that further. So I don't know. So say, for instance, you stake a card and it's 10,000 DEC. If you go and unstake that and say, I got another card I want to stake there, do you get that 10,000 DEC back immediately and you can stake it on another card? Or is there a holding time? I don't know. But that's a valid point, and I'll have to look into that. Maybe a good thing to look into for next week's meeting. Alex says there's going to be a power creep with the cards now, so they have to make the old cards have value. So land, I agree. And if you played card games over the years, you know this happens. And it's happening just kind of to look at Splinterforge. It happened really fast in Splinterforge. The power creep as far as buying equipment on characters. So, side note. Yeah, I agree. I mean, I've done a number of videos on Rift Watchers as well as Chaos Legion. I mean, comparatively speaking, like I've said, if I had to look at Chaos Legion, I would say myself as a card player, less than 20% of the cards are classified as I don't know or possibly probably not playing. The other 70 to 80% are good play cards, as well as Rift Watchers. Rift Watchers are great. I mean, I have a small portion of those, but from what I've seen, very good play cards. So, so kind of got off a tangent there, but definitely worth talking about. The new energy system, yeah, we briefly mentioned that. We've talked about that before in other videos. Basically, you have a certain amount of plays per day. Basically, they refresh at 24. So basically, you can play, if you're playing a bot, you can play once per hour. You can buy extra if you wish, but you're going to have a certain amount of extra. But once you burn those up, you're going to be able to play once per hour. Oh, I agree, Alex. I know. I in no way feel that, they do this 24/7, right? They're thinking about it from every angle. And that's their job. Their livelihood depends upon it. So there's just so much to think about in the current ecosystem. This card game went from a relatively simple card game to pretty complex. And to tell you the truth, that's what turned me away from playing Magic the Gathering back in the day. So, and Jedi points out that there's a select few meta cards and Rift Watchers that make a big difference. Yeah, I agree. I agree. I'm thinking mostly of what's that neutral one with the tails that went up in value quite quickly. Alex wants to know about Vruz. And yes, I mispronounced it in my prior video because I said Vruz because it rhymed with news. And I like Vruz better than Vruz. But I believe since there's no an E in there and it was pronounced on the stream as Vruz, I think that's correct. But anyway, I did not get any gold, and I had just over 8,000 SPS, almost 9,000 SPS staked, but I got 8. But I leveled up my Vruz to... He's Dragon Common. So currently I'm at level 6. The first day he came out, I went up to level 5, and then yesterday I put a little bit more money into it and brought him up to level 6. I think, since we're talking about him, I think you really have to look at, if you're going in on a Vruz, you have to look at that level 5, obviously. And this argument also applies to most cards, right? I don't think it's such a great card in bronze due to the fact that, one, most new players are not going to play dragon. Most new players don't have a good dragon summoner. Obviously, you can rent, but one of the things about coming into the game is, I didn't even play dragon for the first 6 months I played the game, right? But that's the first thing. The second thing is he picks up Martyr at level 5. And then I went to level 6 because at level 6 he picks that extra speed. The main thing about Vruz that I can see is that he's going to be quick and he's got that Martyr. And you strategically place him, and I think he's going to do well in obviously low mana hands, but hands rule sets where melee can attack from any position. Yeah, my brother got 1 gold in the drop as well. And like I said, I took him to level 5 originally, and then I left off for a day because you know how the market can do. The market can fluctuate wildly. So I left off at level 5. I kind of foresee I'm just looking at the stats here. I think I would like to get him to level 7, if not 8. Okay, and level 8 he picks up that extra damage, but I think it's more about that speed, right? Initially, I really like this card. It was the first promo I wanted. Like the fact he is the guy you watch while winning. Yeah, I think that's pretty cool as well. And obviously my name's Bronze Dragon. I've always loved dragons, the whole mythology of dragons. Dragon is one of the harder splinters to play. I agree with you. I think I want to get him to level 8. The main thing about that is that speed, right? And I think the main thing about, obviously it depends upon where you play. Initially, and this is going back to a little bit of Splinterforge talk, initially I thought that he was going to be great in Splinterforge, but since the rule changes, he would obviously fit in a low mana. Those people who were fielding like 10 to 15 mana hands and going very quickly, that's where I thought he would fit in because he has the speed, right? And then the having the martyr would probably have translated into the 1.5 damage. However, with the rule set changes, and we can talk about that in a few minutes, I don't think he has a place in Splinterforge anymore. So, I mean, obviously you can try him. They did add him. You can play him, but I think everything has gone towards playing Splinterforge with max hand value, whatever you are, 45 to 50, depending upon your gems and runes. Challenging you to a fight. Yeah, maybe we can set up some of those pretty soon. Let's go back to see if we can get through this list. Okay, well, Vruz was the next on the list, so we talked about that. The next item on the list, I got to take a drink. I'm getting dry throat here. Thanks, everybody, for coming out. The next big thing this week was Soulkeep. Just one. Okay. What do you want to battle in? Okay, go ahead and challenge me. We'll go ahead and do a battle. And since you can see my screen, this might not be fair, but let's see. Rule set, heavy hitters. Now, if you cheated and watched what I fielded and you're going with that, it's on you, man. I have nothing against a quick game. I'm not the best player though, so. Let's see what happens. Okay, so he fielded a kitty. I do not have a kitty, that's for sure. Well, let's go see. Let's go ahead and see what happens. I definitely do like the Clockwork Aid. Definitely worth throwing in there. And it's a win. I've got to confess, I'm a big fan of the Clockwork Aid. Kind of getting off topic here, but it's all on topic if we're talking about Splinterlands, right? It's one of my favorite new Soulbound cards. Yeah, and it works really well in Splinterlands as well as Splinterforge. I definitely think it's worth, if you play Splinterforge, fitting it into your Splinterforge hand. I don't think necessarily you get a lot more as it levels up, but it's all about that swiftness. Yeah, I agree. I mean, speed has proven to be a definite benefit in both games. And I also have to say that I'm a big fan of, where is she? I'm a big fan of Lyra the Dark because she has speed and opportunity. Any kind of, I used to be a red ranged hand player, but now I'm black. And Jedi says, still have to get that card, Clockwork 8. Yeah, it took me a while, you know. It took me a while to get one. And my brother had one. And he was playing. He's like, this is great. This is great. He was adding it to his Splinterforge hand. And then I couldn't get it. And now I have like almost level 3. Let's check it out here. I need 4 more for level 3, right? But it doesn't pick up much. As you leveled up, it just picks up more shield. At level 4, it does pick up rust, which I guess is okay, but it's not really game breaking. I guess if you're playing up in Diamond, level 6 would be what you want because... and I'm talking Splinterforge here. Either way, I mean, Splinterlands, Splinterforge, the argument's the same, right? Speed and strengthen are going to be your greatest assets right there. You know, Alex, I played a lot of water when back when water was magic. I do like the current water setup as far as going. I do like Demented Shark. I do like Flying Squid, Deep Lurker, and where's the other one? Oh, obviously Demon Shark. I do like those cards. Noah the Just for Rust with Kulu Assassin. I'll have to look into that. Don't know exactly what you're talking. I mean, I know about the cards, but I don't know how they interplay. I will have to look into that. So Soul Keep was the next item. I didn't play into Soul Keep. I have a few packs, but due to the fact that the beta costs so much to get into, I mean, you could only get into the beta if it was 500 packs, and I did the math on that, and that was like between 22 and 2,500 US dollars, and that's just too much for me. And I do like tower defense games. It's one of my favorite like time waster kind of games. Like I need, I got 10 minutes to burn. I'll play a tower defense game. Don't like the artwork. I've said this before. I don't like the artwork the way they've went with this. And I don't like some of the changes they've made, but I'm reserving judgment until they talk about how the staking and the money making in the game is going to be. But there's so much to spend your money on in this game now that I'm not really leaning there. And that's a shame, because when they first started talking about it, I was really into it, right? But kind of leaning away from it. But I do wish them luck, and I hope it turns out to be good for all those people that get into it. But we'll see, and when it fully comes out, I'll do a run through and see what I think of it, right? I always give things a couple chances before I write them off. Okay. Few things they fixed. They said they fixed the issue with purchasing SPS and DEC through Transact, but they haven't. They might be talking about something other than what I see, though. I only got a chance to use that. I'm going to decline for right now, because I want to get through these topics, and then we'll maybe here in about 15 minutes we can play a couple of matches. So if you're unfamiliar, there is a Transact bridge where Alex says, I have 124 Nightmare packs, but never did it for the SPS airdrops. Yeah, I like the airdrops as well. You going to sell those packs off? That's the question. Or are you just going to keep them and wait for them to appreciate? I don't know if that's going to work that way, but so back on the Transact, there's a bridge here, which I was able to use once, and then it went down. So you can literally just, one of the big hurdles I see in being a new player in Splinterlands is actually getting DEC or SPS. You have to jump through a bunch of hoops, and you have to be a real person into crypto to kind of get the theory. I think we're writing off a lot of people that would possibly be players if this was easier. And Alex replies, yes, he's keeping the packs for future purpose, sales. That's a good idea. So I'll click SPS like I'm going to buy SPS, which I did once. And to tell you the truth, right before the VRUZ drop, I wanted to go in and I wanted to buy another. I was going to put like another $100 or something or other in there so I can get extra VRUZs. But as you can see, connection to Transact timed out. And I've tried everything from clearing my cache, different browsers, etc. If you go to the Transact website, they say they do not support SPS or DEC currently. And that must have been a relatively new change. I saw this come up about 2 weeks ago, and I went ahead and I bought some SPS. Now, at that point, my purpose was I bought SPS, I shifted it over, and I sold it on Hive Engine, and I bought Forge for Splinterforge to buy some stuff in Splinterforge. Worked great. I'm like, yes, it's finally easy to buy SPS. You still had to jump through a few hoops as far as qualifying with your driver's license and everything to be able to use Transact, but that's kind of common in crypto at this point. They want to make sure that you're not, that you're legit, right? And I understand that, but my main point here is that Transact has been down for a couple weeks now, and they say they fixed it, but I don't think they fixed it. Okay, enough on that. Ancient Redwood, the Riftwatcher's airdrop card for 1 million packs has been sold, has been released. It should now be available to be found in packs. So now you can get the Ancient Redwood in packs. Let's go over. He is an Earth. Here he is. Currently going for about 17 US dollars, a little bit more per BCX. We can look at his stats. I think this is a really nice card in high mana matches. I think this will also fit into Diamond Hands in Splinterforge, due to the fact that a lot of people are going the way of the Ranger with speed. I think it'll fit in over there. Obviously, here in Splinterlands, you'll have to have a high mana match. Still trying to figure out exactly, where he fits in. Obviously, he's a huge, slow archer, right? Yeah, I agree. Obviously, it would be great in a reverse speed match. That's the first thing I would say. Fury. I guess if you see that your player's coming up and he plays a lot of taunt cards, obviously True Strike always helps. Alex says Earth deck is the best overall for rule sets. Here's the thing. Currently, when I play Earth, I play Magic. Now, I have to say that my Earth Summoners are pretty limited. I only have Obsidian at level 6. My Lob is coming up. But Obsidian is going to be my main Earth. And most of my Earth cards that I've leveled are all Magic related. So... and they go through, fixed a few extra things. Or, this is a game. They're always fixing things. Then they go into the Secret of Pretoria. We kind of briefly started talking about this. Why did that go back? Alex says, if you had a full set max cards, look at it. Yeah. I would love a full set of max cards. Just don't have the money. So I haven't done a full video on the land yet, but that's just like a whole video in and of itself, right? A whole discussion in and of itself. I do like the fact that, and we'll go over to the white paper here, that they've really fleshed land out. I don't like the fact that every time they come out with something new, I mean, it's just like they're almost, I don't know, maybe it's me, but they're almost like staking the whole future of SPS and DEC on land, because they've put so many DEC and SPS sinks on land that I'm almost getting tired of it, because Alex says Vera is a summoner for 88 cents and only costs 3 mana. People sleeping on that. Let's take a look. Is it an Earth Summoner? Where's Vera? For some reason, I cannot remember. Oh, Vera Salacia. Interesting. I have one of those that I got back in the day somehow. I think I got that in a pack, actually. I don't know. I'll take your word for it, because I have never been really effectively good at playing that with... Obviously, I guess it would help in an Earthquake match, because a lot of people are going to play flying, but I don't know. Oh, just from the point that she's water. Okay, I understand. So, back on land, I guess my main point is I originally bought land because I like the whole idea of it kind of being the side game within Splinterlands. You can actually come in now. They put so much into land that you could just play the land game, and it's like almost a separate game now. But it's it's going to cost so much. In fact, I'm thinking through it. I may have to sell one of my plots of land to be able to populate the other 2 plots. All right. Alex says 3 mana helps, but no summoner buff. Yeah, low mana. So I will put the link. I mean, you probably have this link by now, but I'll put the link in the show notes. They go on to talk about phase 1.5 on the land and the secrets of Praetoria. We talked about the staking cards earlier and the power sources. Briefly, staking DEC and production points. I was talking with my brother last night about the actual, the starter packages. That's what we were talking about. I am going to buy the building in a box for my 3 plots because I think for the value, or you get a lot of value for what you're buying for 10,000 DEC, which is roughly what, about $7 now, $7 or $8 US, somewhere in there. Do I have a Rooney? No. Alex, that's a hot button issue with me. I know they're pushing them, but I decided not to buy a Rooney because every time I interact with the Ethereum blockchain, it costs me so much money. I don't have anything against people if you want one, and I do understand that they tried a project with it and they're trying to increase the value of it within the game for those people that did buy it. And Alex says he got one when it was just over $300. Yeah, we all have to. Here's the thing. Everyone sees value in a different way. To just be point blank, I didn't buy one because it's on the Ethereum blockchain, and I've interacted with the Ethereum blockchain in the past with buying, selling, trading, and stuff like that with different things. And every time I do, I end up going so far in the hole that it's almost not worth it. So I made the decision not to buy a Rooney. I understand where they're at. I understand where they're positioning them. And I understand that the game is trying to give more value to the Roonies for those persons that did invest in them, though. So thumbs up for that. But I think the reason why Alex brings that up is because the Rooney has a built-in power source. One of the things you do get with the building in a box is a power source. So that's part of the value there. And obviously the Rooney's going to have a lot of production points and be able to help you if you stake that. But then if you stake it on your land, then you're not using it elsewhere. So Alex says, yeah, I felt the same way about Ethereum, but it's the only card that you can move around blockchains and still use. Well, like I said, everyone thinks about it a little bit differently, and kudos. I mean, it's a part in the game, and they're definitely trying to do their part in increasing the value for those persons that did buy a Rooney. So. But with what we're currently talking about, the Roonies do contain a power source. So if you stake it on your land, you don't have to have an extra power source. So theoretically, if you had a Rooney and you want to stake it on your land, you really wouldn't have to buy a building in a box. That's not the main thing I'm looking at because the power source, I believe, was only like 10,000 DEC or something less, 5 or 10,000 DEC anyway. But the main thing here is it saves you time in getting up and running. I'm sure we've all looked at this, but if you haven't, let's see here. It allows you to begin construction of a level 1 building on a single land plot without having to pay any DEC or other resources, which would normally be required. So they've been talking about this over the last week or two. You know, these other resources that you would first of all have to harvest, which is one waiting time. And then once you got enough of these resources, you would have to start the building of your the building of your house, which is another wait time. So with this building in a box, you don't have to do your harvesting. You can immediately start. The building in a box also includes a free power source, which we talked about for a few minutes. And they go on to say that please note it will still take the normal amount of time for construction of the level 1 building to be completed. It's just you don't have to wait to harvest all those harvestables or go buy them on the market or however that's going to end up being, right? The second starter package was the Time Vault, which I'm not sure exactly how this is going to work out, but it grants you 150 time crystal tokens as well as 15,000 grain tokens, which is going to be one of those things that harken back to, the resources made to build a house. And they point out it's a level 1 house. So I'm taking from that these houses are going to have multiple levels. You're going to have to earn, buy, sell, trade, other resources such as grain to level your house up in the future. Alex says, I have 1 land plot, so I went and got 60k DECB. I have 1 Rooney, 1 totem, but I'm still going to buy the starter pack. Starter packs. I feel like go in all in on 1 plot and commit and spread it out on overcommit and spread it out. Yeah, I'm looking at it the same way, but currently I have, and I agree, it's a good idea, good decision. But currently I have 3 plots, and I'm probably going to have to play the spread out game. I'm probably going to have to do the reverse U. But extrapolating out, who I feel sorry for are these people that have these large chunks of land. Okay, and I don't feel sorry for them because they went all in, and but now they're starting to see how much this is going to actually cost them. So I can really see these people that bought 100 plots or the 1,000 plots kind of portioning it out and having to sell some of this land off to be able to afford populating and staking on the other land. Of course, there's going to be some whales out there that just keep throwing thousands of US dollars into it. Great if you have it. I don't have that. So Alex says it just a lot lets you wanted to go A max legendary for 1 plot. That's crazy money. Yeah, I agree. If you want to max out 1 land plot, that's going to be huge money. So we're going to see a variety of people, in a variety of ways people stake on their land. Everybody's not going to be able to. I would probably make a guess that probably less than 20% of the people are going to be able to max out their lands. I mean, yeah, Alex makes a good point. If I had a region, I would be so mad I didn't sell for 600K back in the day. Yeah, I think that, I don't know. I think they're making it, I can see why they're doing it from a game developer's point of view. They're trying to increase the value of everything as far as SPS and DEC is concerned. But I think they're shooting themselves in the foot as far as making it too expensive. And Jedi says, I almost missed this. I've been waiting on the landowners to liquidate their common lands and get the cheapest one so I can participate in the ecosystem. Yeah, I bought the first land. Originally, they were, imagine it, when they were originally for sale for $20, right? And whenever I first came in the game, they were still land for sale. And I hem-hawed around about it thinking, oh, $20 is too expensive. So they sold out. A week after they sold out, I bought a land plot for $30 or $35. And then the other 2 plots I had to buy at like $140 or $150 each. So I was really into the idea, but it's going to be so expensive now. And I understand why they're doing it. I just don't have to like it, right? I mean, I could almost, I'm going to, like I said, I might have to liquidate one of the lands to be able to populate the other 2. So we'll see. And, that's a generally... that idea that Jedi just surfaced is that kind of circling back to what I just said. Some people are going to have to sell their lands. And with people dumping lands on the market, that's just going to send the prices into a fall, right? So we'll see. But at the same time, the card market should be going up because you're going to see people trying to scoop up gold cards. Because if you look at the production points, Alex says he dumped one for 330, paid 330, and then later sold it for my Rooney, so he didn't lose. As long as you came out even, I guess. So, yeah. The two I bought were in the 120 to 140 range. So if we look at the production points, obviously, to be the best, you're going to have to do legendaries. And this is a max legendary, 1,500 points, right? Max gold, I don't even know. I have no max gold. I couldn't even think about investing in a max gold legendary, even the cheaper ones now. But look at that, 10,000 versus 1,500. Let's go, just for the sake of argument, let's go to the market. Let's look at gold. Let's look at legendaries. And let's look at the cheapest one. Cheapest gold legendary right now is going to be a Chaos Dragon at $59 for one. Need 4 copies for max. Obviously, if you got a deal on a multi-BCX, well, I guess let's go over to, this is my secondary account, but let's just do this on Peak Monsters. Let's look at gold. Legendaries again. So it's still the Chaos Dragon. We'll look at error retrieving product data. Let's try that again. Okay, so let's okay, so people, okay, so here's one for 4 BCX. 14, almost $1,500 for the cheapest gold legendary maxed out. Alex says you need to max a spreadsheet for DEC price per PP. Best price is Chaos cards at the moment, but you still get more PP for beta cards. So beta will win in the end. Well, I kind of felt that that was going to be true. But either way, I just wanted to make my point that a max level gold foil, the cheapest you're going to have right now, is almost $1,500 US. I just can't see putting that in. Yeah, I agree. If you have a number of plots, you're going to kind of have to average across plots, unless, you know, there's another point here that depending upon what each plot produces, you know, they say that all the plots are going to be the same production-wise as far as value, but we all know that certain things are going to become more valuable. Okay, so let's say you're producing grain and I'm producing ore. Okay, and there's a lot more people on the market selling grain, then obviously the grain is going to go down in value and the ore is going to go up. So I may go ahead and increase the staked monsters and the PP on my ore producing land to get more, you know, you get the idea. And Alex says, so people with a lot of plots are going to go for the gold chaos cards. Okay, the second part of this is basically what Alex is talking about, and he found that factoring in the 5x of the beta cards brings the value up as far as buying cards to stake versus the chaos. Yeah, tough to say, Alex. They've continually said that they're all going to be the same, but we all know that certain resources are going to end up being more expensive, because some people, there might be a lot more people producing grain than produce ore, like I said in my previous example, and ore ends up being more expensive. So now this goes into kind of, I think what Alex was borderline talking about is the terrain type is the next thing they announced, or they put out this chart for. And I almost forgot, but this is one of the other points that I wanted to bring up, is the fact that, several months ago they're always Aggie's always pushing the FOMO, right? Chief FOMO officer. But they were pushing, buying up a lot of cards. But here's my point. If you have land, they have also put out now that if you buy, just generally go spam buying cards, you could end up with a lot of cards that are not going to do well on the particular lands you have. Now it's possible that you could take that land you have and sell it and buy a land plot that suits your cards better. But this chart dictates. So say for instance, I got a bad land, and I had bought a bunch of life cards. Well, those life cards are getting negative 50% on that Badlands. So why would I do that? What I would want to do is I would want to come over and buy one of these, like a forest, where my life cards would get plus 10%, right? That's pretty weird how, and I'm just checking this chart out now. This is the first time I've really examined it to any extent, but there's a bunch of negatives, minus 50%, but the max level positive you're going to get is plus 10. But the point is still there that I sort of have to wait. I have bought some cards that I thought might be good for staking, but I may have to re-examine my thought process, to what Alex was saying. But you get a land, and what if you bought all the wrong cards? You would have to sell that land and try to get a plot of land that suited your cards better, basically. And you might take a pay hit. Or an investment hit, rather, when you did that, right? So production boosts. I did buy a common totem for each of my lands just because I wanted to have them. I figured it would be better to have them not. And, the totems were only 15 to 20 bucks at the time when I bought them. So my common totems are going to get me a 10% boost. Oh, Jedi pointed out that Peak Monsters added a feature to help you maximize your production points. Cool. I'll have to look into that. That definitely will be a much needed thing going forward. So kudos to them for doing that. Looks like my common totem's only going to get me a 10% boost. Now, I didn't buy rare because the rare totems were significantly more. I think at the time I bought my common totems, they were between $15 and $20, and the rare were like $150 a piece. So that's the reason I went with commons. Obviously, they're going to be nice to have. And they've also hinted, not hinted, they've been talking about it over the last week how, and I forget exactly how they said it, but as you're mining the land or as you're working the land, you will get pieces of totems that eventually you could construct your own totem to help out your land, I guess. So I don't have any further details on that, but and then they give some calculation examples. This is another thing that I think has become overly complicated. It's kind of like back to the big change that happened where we went away from having this very complicated system of how often you could play per day, and now we're down to a much simplified version. I'm thinking that this very complicated land thing, I don't know if there's any way to simplify it, right? They've made it complicated by introducing multiple layers of having to invest. That's basically what it comes down to. You have to buy this. You have to buy cards to stake on the land. You have to buy the land. You have to buy possibly a totem for the land. You have to buy cards to stake on the land. You have to pay DEC to stake those cards on the land. And several other layers of what equates to spending money, investing money into the ecosystem. So as these flesh out, I'm going to continue to keep an eye on it and comment as needed. Like I said, I may have to end up selling one of the plots to be able to afford the other one. If you've watched some of my videos, you know that I think at this point it's, playing the game over 1.5 years, I've put several thousands of dollars into the game, which is a huge amount to me, but it's just a drop in the bucket compared to other large YouTubers and whales in the game. So I look at it from a completely different viewpoint. So we talked about a lot of this stuff. Farming grain, mining SPS. So I'm really hopeful in looking at it, but my overall outlook in life, I'm always a pessimist, because I'm seeing land has went from something simple to very complicated, and the overall goal is to try to save SPS and DEC. Do I want to save it? Yeah, I love playing the game. I like automation that I put into effect as far as using Archmage service and such. And I'll have to look into Xbot, not Xbox, which Alex was talking about earlier. But definitely like that. Also this week, and we kind of talked about Vruz. I did level 6 this week. Also, if you're interested, if you've been following me, you know that I've been buying alpha cards. Not a lot, but this is where I stand. This is my secondary account, and this is where I keep all my alpha cards. But this is where I stand. And if you're interested, I'm trying to see. Oh, this is, I bought the Feral Spirit this week. So I've basically been buying commons. I started at the cheapest one and just worked my way up. That's what I've been doing, buying 1 BCX per week, just so I could have some alpha cards, if you've been following me. So that's where I stand on that. Now, the other move I made this week was in Splinterforge. We'll talk about for a few minutes. I did was finally able to buy myself a bow, a legendary bow, 1 BCX. And this week in the game, they made several changes as well. I did a video on this, so check my backlog of videos if you want the specifics. But they made it so you could stack damage runes or gems on your just on your weapon. So I went in and I bought a bow. The bow I bought actually had two sockets in it, so I stacked 2 faded turquoise. And overall, the speed and the extra damage has helped. So my damage output is pumped up a little bit. Not so much that it's helped really greatly, but it has helped. So I'm playing in silver. I kind of bounce back and forth between silver and gold. But back to what was said earlier about power creep. This game has been hit heavily by power creep. In other words, if you don't have max level equipment and rent out max level cards, you're not going to make it in any of the higher leagues. So we can go, most of this game is dominated by people. This is interesting because he's using Lily Shieldpaw and Conqueror Jasek. I was going to say Kitty. most of the high-end scorers are going to be using Kitty along with another expensive caster or summoner rather. So, but I'm enjoying this game too, so I'm playing this on the side as well. So it looks like we're on the hour. I thank everybody for dropping by. Please leave a like and subscribe. And if you have any ideas as far as good topics of discussion for next week's stand-up, just leave them in the comments. Otherwise, I hope everyone, let's see, before we round it out, Jedi's got the last word. Kitty and Jasek usually get a ton of points. I agree. But you know what? I have not been renting Kitty out lately. I did it once. I did not do great with Kitty. I do like the changes they put in effect this week with the 30 points per match. And I think it will overall round out, even things out a little bit versus the guys who were... I don't know how they did it. Obviously, it ended up being Kitty and something else and high-end cards for very low-end mana and just spamming it really fast and hitting the top of the leaderboards. But with that said, things have evened out a little bit, so we'll see where it goes from there. But Alex and Jedi, I appreciate you stopping by, and it's always good to have a full commentary, questions going back and forth. And it makes it makes things much more interesting. I'm hoping that as we go along, we get a few more people dropping by. Otherwise, I hope everyone has a happy and healthy week, and I will see you on the flip side.